Hello and thank you for joining me for today's video. My name is Jenny Allen, and before we get started, please make sure that you are subscribed and that you thumbs up this video. So today, continuing, we are looking at Proverbs chapter 22, and I've selected 3 verses from Proverbs 22 that we can have a look at today as an overview. Please make sure though that you go through and you read these chapters for yourself, because there are a lot of life's lessons in these chapters, and we can learn from them and take them forward into our personal lives, and it will help to develop the character of our heart, and it will give us wisdom to be able to live and to deal and manage people. So let's look at the verses that I've selected for Proverbs chapter 22. We are looking at verse 8. Verse 8, it says, "He who sows iniquity will reap sorrow, and the rod of his anger will fail." If you sow iniquity, you will reap sorrow. Let's have a look at what the word iniquity means. What is an iniquity? Let's have a look. So iniquity means, in the dictionary, gross injustice, a wicked act or a thing. So let us not be someone who sows or who lives a life or who gives out or dispenses gross injustice, gross acts, gross things. We do not want to be known as someone who lives an injustice life, who lives a life that sows injustice. We don't want that, because you will reap sorrow as a result of it. Because you might be able to sow iniquity, you might be able to sow in gross injustice in the short term, and you look as if you're winning, but in the long term, you will reap sorrow. Okay, so let's make sure that with whatever we do, we are not sowing iniquity. Okay, so let's go down to verse 9. Verse 9, "He who has a generous eye will be blessed, for he gives of his bread to the poor." You can never go wrong with being generous, because when you live a generous life, you will be a blessed person. Personally, I don't like stingy people. I don't like people who are mean. People who are stingy with their time, with their words, with their kindness. People who are stingy, who are not helping others, who are not extending that generosity. I don't really like people who are mean. That's just me personally. Because when you're generous, you give out and you create an outflow. When you're generous, you create an outflow and you create room in your life to be able to receive generosity. So when you give generosity, you receive generosity. When you give kindness, when you give kind words, when you give love, when you sow pleasantries, you will receive those same things in return. You will be blessed. So make sure that you're living a generous life. Make sure you're living a kind life, because there is a blessing attached to it. Okay? For he gives his bread to the poor. A generous person will make sure that the poor are accommodated, or somebody who's lacking something in life. If you have that ability to be able to help them, then help them. Do that, because there is a blessing attached to it. And then finally, we're going to have a look at verse 16. "He who oppresses the poor to increase his riches, and he who gives to the rich will surely come to poverty." He who oppresses the poor to increase his riches. You know, this is a very sad thing. We see a lot of people oppressing poorer people, oppressing poorer countries, so that they themselves can become rich, so that they can maintain their wealth. And the Bible here calls it oppressive. He who oppresses, it's an oppressive system. Let's have a look at that word oppress and get a better understanding of what that means. Let's have a look. The word oppress means to crush or burden by abuse of power or authority. To crush or burden by abuse of power or authority. That is what oppress means. So when you oppress the poor, you crush them, you burden them by the power and authority that you've been given. You're using your power and authority as a weapon. That can go for any leader of a country. That can go for people who are managing other people in the workplace. You can crush or burden people if you manage people, and if you're not careful, you can burden and crush them by your abuse of power or authority. I've been managed by people who are really, really awful, and they take the power that they have and the authority that they have, they take it to the extreme, and they've abused people with it. But their end has not been good. There's one person that I know, he lost his job, and he was no longer allowed to work in that particular sector because he was so abusive with his authority and his power. So if you're managing people, or if you're looking after people, or you have some sort of power and authority, don't use it to oppress people. And don't oppress people so that you can look good, or you can increase in the particular field that you work in, or you want to increase your money. Don't go through these oppressive methods to increase your own riches, or to increase yourself. That's not God. And it says, he who gives to the rich will surely come to poverty. Okay, so I hope that you were ministered to by this scripture and these scriptures, and that they ministered to you. And I hope that you've taken something that you'll be able to use in your own life on a daily basis. Okay, so God bless, and I will see you in tomorrow's video. God bless you.